Hello everyone, thank you for joining us in this edition of The Inside. On Equinoxe Television, we are coming to you from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. Today, we are looking at another twist of the more than 6-year-long armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon. The public execution of 2 civilians in Guzang, in the Momo division, northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, by suspected separatist fighters, and we'll be looking at how to come out of all of these, how to put an end to the killings, the destruction, and the atrocities that have been recorded in the 2 English-speaking regions of the Republic of Cameroon. And we'll also talk about chieftaincy conflicts in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, threatening social peace, social cohesion, and the stability of villages in that part of the Republic of Cameroon. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Our guest today is a legal mind. Barrister Roland Ojong Ashu is a human rights lawyer, a human rights activist. Thank you for joining us today, Barrister.
You're welcome, Mr. Babila. It's a pleasure.
Right. Now, let's begin with these very shocking images of the public execution of 2 civilians by alleged separatist fighters in Guzang, in the Momo division, northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. What's your take about this other twist of the Anglophone crisis? Public execution of civilians suspected of espionage.
Mr. Babila, to me, it is really shocking that at this stage, some persons have the right to take life on their hand. Nobody has a right to take life of a human person. But the situation of Cameroon is getting out of hand, because day in, day out, the situation getting worse. Because public executions is against the law. No one has the right to take the life of another person. But with respect to what's happening, we are saying that the things are getting out of hand because the situations need to be readdressed. Those in charge of those zones, like elites, chiefs, and notables, should be held sometimes accountable, just like the governor says, for such actions. Because the situations, as I said before, the government have done something to help the situation. But if you see situations like that where the executions are taking place in front of persons, it should be that persons are in support of what's happening. But now the question is, who are the administrative authorities at that moment? Who in charge? What can be done to that? So no one should in any way take the life of another human being. We must condemn that to the fullest. As human rights activists, no one. That's why we call the international community to probe into the issue, make investigations, and let the culprits be brought to book.
What does the law in Cameroon say about such actions, public executions?
The Cameroon government and the law in Cameroon has not given any rule for public execution. But those accountable or held culprits for public executions are considered hardened criminals, and the law executed. That is because the Cameroon government has not made any law wherein when you are caught to commit an offense of that nature, you should be executed immediately. It should be tit for tat. No. It is persons like that should have prison terms forever in their life. But now the question is, does the law give rights for anyone to take the life of another person? The law has not given rights for anybody to do that.
Right, but the legislature didn't make specific provisions as to the punishment or what should be done as far as public execution. This is normally done within the context of life sentence, or there's a legal provision.
No, the Cameroonian codes, as per the law, has not in any way
death sentence. I was talking about death
yes,
sentence.
the Cameroonian code has not ordered for. There's no death sentence in the Cameroonian code. The word called life imprisonment. There's no death sentence for Cameroonian code. That's why it was before, but it was amended, and there's no death sentence for Cameroonian code. So if you're caught killing, there's no law in Cameroon says that you will be killed as well. you might go to life imprisonment. That's why we don't have firing squad by hanging. The law does not prescribe that. But what we are saying as human rights is that nobody has a right. Nobody has a right. Even the government, if the code has not specified killing, I don't think an individual like you and I have the right to take somebody's life, because our codes have not specified the punishment, death sentence.
The penal code.
The penal code has not. There's no death sentence in the penal code. There's in fact life imprisonment. Well, life imprisonment means you can stay there until you die there. There is no medium like in Nigeria, where you have death sentence by hanging and the rest. The penal code has not expressed state that in our country.
Now, when you look at this situation in which persons are brought out of their homes to come and see how people are publicly executed in the context of the crisis, what message are those perpetrating such actions driving through?
It is just to tell the state that situations are getting out of hand. It's a message they're sending, but as an activist, that message is wrong. You don't kill someone because you want to send a message. You don't execute an innocent person because you want to send a message. There are many ways, but it sends a message to tell the government or to the states that there is need for cohesion. That's why I keep on insisting that the local authorities that the administration puts in place in any given region should be the persons the population wants. I always repeat on that fact, because if the government wants to have a group, that person will do that execution. If that person needs to be apprehended, it starts from the local authorities, the local population. So if that local people cannot take care of that person, I don't think whether the government has the power to take over them. Therefore, we are saying that in communities where we believe that the populations will take somebody to be their best, their leader, let the government give those persons the power to follow up. Because if somebody can carry somebody out of the house and execute the person, kill the person in cold blood, it's a big message. Mean that that person, with those surrounding that person, are also culprits to that actions. Because if that person can stand with a gun and maybe 10,000 people are against the person, they will not shoot that gun.
Now, before now, killings have been happening, and persons who were identified or who are identified as spies or persons collaborating with the military killed, and those who are identified as collaborating with the secessionists are either arrested or killed by the soldiers. And but now that it is moved from background killing to public execution, do you think the people who know those who are committing those acts can point and say, this is the person you are looking for, this is the criminal,
Mr. Babila,
this is the killer?
Mr. Babila,
even the traditional rulers,
Mr. Babila, when
are they not caught in a kind of
good? Mr. Babila, when you keep on saying, when you say these persons are executed in broad daylight, in the midst of persons, the question is, how did that person come to that environment to execute? It tells you that that person worked with those people there. The community are in support of what that person is doing. That is what it should say. Or there is no leadership within that community. I will just take example. Are you sure somebody can leave and enter to Limbe and stand in the middle and execute somebody? You will not do that. Because the population of that zone are not against the actions. Are you sure somebody can go to Kumba, in the middle of Kumba, and execute somebody? He cannot do that. Beside the military, the population in that zone, and they have a good leadership, are in control. So the question is, who rule this environment? Who are the leaders of this environment? That is why I come back to the question. When the governor gave an instructions to the Southwest chief, they should be held accountable. I tell the governor, he made a good statement. And that statement should go to all the leaders, the administrative leaders who are in charge in that zone where operations is done. Because if they are with the people, it will not be done. Because the grassroots, if it's well taken care of, nothing will happen. So if somebody comes and executes somebody in broad daylight in the midst of people, I will tell you with confidence that, Mr. Babila, that person is not just working on its own. Even those surrounding him are culprits, and they should be arrested and held accountable for that action, starting with the local administrators that are living in that zone, if they are there.
No, what will you respond to those who may say that if they do what you're saying now, that is denouncing, this is the culprit, this is the killer, this is the separatist, and so on and so forth, and they are killed the next day, and in that kind of environment, they are caught in some kind of fear, in some kind of uncertainty, and they are unable to do that because they know what's going to happen after they denounce those carrying out such actions around them.
Mr. Babila, it comes to the same answer I'm trying to tell you, that it depends on the leadership that is in that environment. You realize that if that leader has a majority of the population in that place, we have none of senior divisional officers and divisional officers that goes to a locality and impose 2-3 persons to become their chief, because the person must have given them something. Another person doesn't have the whims, doesn't have the power to control the population. What happened? The population is against even their leader, because if the population is with the leader and the leader is with the government, I'm not sure such a thing will happen. That's area things happen in Momo. We know of Momo, Christ, and the rest for many years. Some of these zones that are still having these problems, of these Anglophone problems, are zones that they had this problem prior to the Anglophone problems. They had their difficulties, their differences, which the government has not able to resolve those differences. And so, in the midst of this problem, now they take advantage, infiltrate into it, and cause havoc. So the problem is, you want to go to the genesis of what is happening in Momo, you realize that even in Momo, there's no peace within that zone, because there's some sort of disunity among them. And it is happening in all the areas. Example, my village. Kemo is no exception. It is a village, one of the biggest village. But I must tell you that,
well, recently the gendarmerie was set ablaze.
Yes, because we in 2016, the first havoc of the separate fighters took place in my village, Kemo village. But a lot of people don't know why it happened. Because prior to the 2016, there was a Cold War in Kemo. What was the cause of this Cold War? A militarily imposed leadership was made in Kemo against the wish and aspiration of people of Kemo under the terms royalty. Something that has never existed, and something that existed in 1985 and 1984. And there was a bloody Cold War in that village, which led to the death of many persons.
All right, we're going to come to that shortly. Now, other persons think that the head of state is responsible for what is happening there. Somebody like Barrister Tamfu Richard, who is also a human rights lawyer and a peace crusader, says that President Paul Biya is responsible in the sense that he fabricated, according to him, President Paul Biya fabricated those that he refers to as monsters by imposing and using military force on the ground to solve the Anglophone crisis. Soldiers, as the chief of the armed forces, using soldiers to track and kill separatist fighters. Over 100 generals, or so-called generals, 150, have been killed already. Others have come up, and with the use of military force, Barrister Tamfu thinks that this is what has fabricated the monsters that we have today, carrying out public executions and killing people and so on. And so the head of state is responsible, in his opinion. What do you think about that?
Well, to hold the head of state responsible would be an under question, would be too much a meaning that you're trying to kill the goat for something he did not do. I would say, with that fear and favor, you can't hold the head of state responsible. You hold the people in that locality responsible. You have got situations wherein the military sends in the zones to work, to do some of the elites in that zone, because of their selfish interests, that they want fabricating these issues, and killing is done in men just to show proof that they are working well for the states. Biya have not sent any military to go and kill. I am not here to support the President of the Republic, but to me, to say the President Paul Biya should be held responsible for those actions will be an overstatement. It should be an overstatement. Because to an extent, you realize that in the localities where this havoc have taken place, there are environment wherein they have internal squabbles, they have personal problems, but they are using the armed conflict as a rule to settle these causes. Because I'm telling you that there are factions in any of those villages that have most of these problems. And you have to go deeply. The killings are perpetrated by the same persons within the localities. By telling arms about, that's my enemy, kill that person. Some are using the conflict to make money, to enrich themselves. I am not sure that the military were sent to kill. No. The indigenous in that zones use the military for their selfish ends. So I would not want that we should say that President Paul Biya is responsible for these actions. No. Everybody, even the military, has a mind and a conscience. And when he goes and he shoots, he should know why he shoots. It's not our sort to shoot. And I'm telling you, the commanders on ground, the military officials on grounds are acting first on instructions not from President Paul Biya, from the indigents and the personnel, the elites of that zone, on their instructions. Some want to show that if they kill a general, they will tell the President Paul Biya that my village, we have killed a general, and they might add this, his or her rank. So they are using this war. This war came in. But let me tell you, people have used this war for their selfish interest to settle scores with others. And that is what is happening.
Are you saying that the military commanders are now responding to the elite, the politicians around in those areas, instead of responding to the chief of the armed forces?
Many of the elites, the military commanders, most of their actions, because in any given environment, as they are there to secure and save life, protect the life of individuals there. That is their function. But they are manipulated when they go on the field by the elites and the indigenous of that zone. That is why, if you want to go on my record doesn't tell lies. The records are clear. One of the zones where I have all the highest atrocities are zones that are, first of all, having personal and internal conflicts. And this war or these actions was just a flaming ground to boost what they want as their own means. That's what I want to say. Because I'm talking with example from where I came from. People live in camps. This camp is against this camp. From 2010, before 2016 arrived, there was serious camps. And this camp, once the issue came up, this one says, since you're not supporting me, I will go and tell people that you're terrorists. Since you're against me, I will tell the government they're terrorists. And now, you will use the terrorists to attack another person. The person will use, that's what's happening.
Settling scores.
Settling scores. So, the administration have a lot to do. That's why I will beg President Paul Biya, talk to your governors, talk to the Minister of the Tribe. I will beg President Paul Biya to talk to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister talk to the Minister of the Tribe Administration, Mr. Tanaji. Mr. Tanaji, you have a job. Talk to your governors. Your governors and your SDOs and GOs have a lot of work to do. They should not in any way, if it is possible, send away royalty, send away royalty. Go for a leader that has population for you to be able to get across your message and get to the people. Don't go for a leader in the name of the claim of royalty and you can assess your people, you can't get close to people who come to that, because that's what is happening on ground. Separatist fighters take advantages, which I may say they are not separatist fighters. They are individuals who have selfish aims to disturb school resumptions. We need to send our children to school. Some of us could talk here because we went to school. But some people hide behind separatist fighters to destabilize, disturb children from going to school. Based on their selfish aims, I want to have a royalty, I'm a royalty. You are not royalty, and so you don't talk when I'm talking.
So in a nutshell, what you're saying is that people are making gains out of the war and working for it to continue. Is that what you're saying?
It's high time we tell the world the truth. That people have taken this war, this separatist war, for their selfish interests. I have said it time and time again. The national dialogue to an extent has some success. And we must applaud the state for that. We may not always be opposing the state all the time. Let's for once tell the truth what is happening. The national dialogue brought in so many things, and to an extent they have been success. And to an extent, if we are not having what we have in some of those places, if we want to go to detail about those places, it's because they have internal squabble. Now it is time to settle scores. You must, since I'm not in support of you, I know what to do to get you. And that's what is happening in many of those communities.
And in the midst of all that,
the innocent suffer.
Innocent,
they are suffering.
Harmless populace
have been killed. Like what happened? That execution was done. That was settling of scores. If you want to go to detail in what happened to Momo, you want to go detail. If you go to investigate that issue,
those who were executed were accused of settling the role of spies,
settling scores. It's not about being spies. There's somebody who said, finish that person. That is what is happening. And it's high time the local authorities, the chiefs, be held accountable for most of those things. And that is why I applaud the governors of Southwest regions nostalgia by putting it into the chiefs that you be held responsible for anything. So if a chief was imposed on the people, I would doubt if that chief can go and meet people. Therefore,
no, you're applauding the governor for saying that the chiefs will be held responsible for whatever happens. The local authorities will be held responsible for whatever happens within their area of competence, within their area of
100% applaud to the governor for that statement.
But at the same time, you're saying that the head of state shouldn't be held responsible for what is happening in those two regions. Now, why should the traditional rulers be held responsible for a crime they didn't commit?
Good, because the governor, I am telling you, the last time I spoke on Equinoxe, and I talk about what is happening in my village, a week after the governor held a meeting and called on them, because they have come to understand that most of these traditional rulers came to become rulers where they are illegally. They don't have the mandate. They don't have the support of people. Either they have one thing, reconcile with the people, or otherwise dismiss themselves as chiefs and ask the governor, please select somebody who people like, because I cannot succeed.
Is that why they should be held responsible for crimes committed by other people?
Do you know why? They don't have the power, the mandate to control the people, because they, as traditional rulers, it is their duty to control their subjects.
Can they really control the separatist fighters?
If they have a majority of their population, they can easily control the separatist fighters. The problem of control depends on who you are and the number of people behind you. If you are a traditional ruler with the population in support of you, when you give an order, nobody will listen to you. So, if you have at least 80% of the people,
some of the traditional rulers are caught and killed. In the southwest, in the northwest, some of them are kidnapped. And
most often, if you see those captivities, if you see in those areas,
many of them have escaped their
villages because they never had the mandate to be the chiefs of that village. Some of them came to power or became chiefs using unnecessary means. They came to by bribing. Because if you, in those days, traditional like somebody who is answerable, even if someone with a gun. When the ruler make an order, he keeps the gun on the floor. So if you're a traditional ruler and you cannot tell somebody to keep gun on the floor and he keeps it, you don't supposed to be a traditional ruler. Because you're supposed to be, the ancestors are working with you. If the ancestors support you and make you the chief of that village, you have the power. Anybody whose ancestry is from that village has the power to respect you, even by mere word of hearing you chief. But if you are a force on the people and you make yourself a chief in the people, without having the mandate, I tell you, Many of these chiefs don't even go to their village. You know why? They buy themselves to become chiefs. They were not supposed to be chiefs.
Now, what about those who have the mandate but influenced by politics, have joined partisan politics, CPDM and so on and so forth?
Politics or no politics, if a phone or a chief by the people, even if you're an SDF and this is a chief and we know that is a chief and we like our chief, I'm not sure that. But everybody, being in politics is free. You're free to be a politician. But as far as the village is concerned, because those are ancestral origins, and the gods are talking to us, the dead ones are talking to us. So a chief, because I have talked to the government, I've written to the Prime Minister, I've written to the President of this Republic, to the Secretary General, that if they want to succeed in Southwest, especially in Southwest, let them know, because in Southwest the issue of fundum does not so much exist. Chiefs in Southwest, especially not talking of Limbe, Douala and Kumba, Boya and Kumba, going to Malfi where I came from, their chiefs, especially apart from Upper Bayern where we have some good ring, in a Umoja where I came from especially, there is nothing like royalty. The chiefs there should be the people who are population one, and we have existed for many years like that.
Right, we'll come to that in the course of the program. Let's go to the newsstands now, and we're going to take a look at what the newspapers reported this week in Cameroon. Cedric Chakutio has the press review.
We begin with the Guardian Post revisiting over 150 separatist fighters killed. The paper questions if this shouldn't serve as a lesson for other fighters to surrender and let go the independent struggle. Municipal Updates talks about the execution of 2 civilians by the separatist fighters in Guzang. Municipal Updates tells its readers that some civilians got rescued by the military from separatist captivity. According to the Guardian Post, Boya traditional rulers declare spiritual war against ghost towns and lockdown. The Horizon newspaper focuses on the teachers' strike and the movement OTS as they continue with their Operation Dead Talk. Newswatch talks about the administrative tolerance accorded to commercial motorbike riders. Atangandi tells Yaoundé commercial bikers to regularize or face sanctions. The Herald Tribune says over 2,000 criminal activities were recorded in August and September. Another issue of the Guardian Post reports Congress urged President Biden administration to extend protection of over 20,000 Cameroonians in the United States. Finally, the Median focused on McGill's resumption to work on Olympic Sport Complex next week.
Richard Couture for the press review. We are still with our guest, Barrister Roland Ojong Ashu, member of the Cameroon Bar Association, human rights activist. Thank you so much for being with us today. Now, Barrister, we have been saying this for the past 6 years. We have been talking about the way out. We have been asking this question, and we are still in the burning furnace. And we are still looking for the way out. Why is the deadlock prevailing in your opinion? Why is it that despite all what government has done, which you mentioned some earlier, nothing seems to be moving? The situation seems to be deteriorating. Recently, United States senators raised a concern and asked the Homeland Security Department to extend the temporary protection status for Cameroon to protect Cameroonians who are there because the situation is deteriorating back here in Cameroon. What explains this deadlock?
Well, to an extent, we have insisted that there should be another dialogue. That will be, the dialogue will be, to an extent there was a national dialogue, and it was something, some sort of clemency has been done. Some things have been done. Because if you tell me the situation is even worse than it used to be, I will say no. The situation is under control to an extent, because the killings have reduced. The number of imprisonment as they keep on arresting has reduced. We no longer, we can stay a week or two forgetting one or two things, but there should be another dialogue. Another dialogue should be done with those in prison,
The situation is under control.
To an extent.
And public executions are taking place.
I have said it.
We didn't have that before.
I have said it.
That public burnt inside
public execution was done with an intention.
In the heart of Boya, which used to be an area, Boya has been one of the areas experiencing some relative calm.
But if you realize
when you look at these things happening, and these senators in the US are saying the situation is deteriorating. The respectable human rights organizations that are here, including China, monitoring the situation on the ground, are saying things are worsening.
If you keep on insisting that things are worsening, I would say no. Things are getting a bit normal. I am insisting, persistently telling you that what is left now is called censoring. You killed my brother last week. My brother was killed by people. I will make sure this one is killed. It's censoring now. A lot of things, schools are going on many in those zones, not like it was before, between 2016 and 2020. Things are getting a bit better. But I'm telling you now, after every war, if you have read the law on war, you realize that after every war, get to an end of war, it comes to a period of skull censoring.
But at least you know that there are still people at an extreme position asking for outright independence, asking for the state of Southern Cameroons, which existed before.
But that they keep on asking. But you and I know
and
that for the meantime, some of them have even withdrawn. Some have even been coming up to expose others. You saw what happened to some of this, Eric Tato. What happened to him? You saw what happened to him. You saw what's happening to some of them now in the States. They're exposing one another. I'm telling you, they came for a fight. They came for something which we all wanted, that was supposed to be good. But the means of which the people you want to come and protect, or the people you are fighting for, you are killing the persons. Please, if you want to kill me, prefer I live where I was living. Don't kill me. Do you want to give it to who? That is what we're asking.
You're fighting for who?
You are fighting for who when you're killing me? You say you're coming to protect me. You want to make sure that I'm fine, but you're killing me. The extortions happening every day. Asking for ransom. It's enough time we need to adjust. To an extent, we should not always be negative what the state is doing. They are trying their best, but they need to do more. And that is why I'll tell President Paul Biya.
But that best seems not to be responding
I'll
to
tell President Paul Biya and his government,
and the expectations.
You are doing your best, but you need to do more. Now, there was the first phase of the national dialogue. I'm soliciting that there should be the second stage of that same national dialogue. This time around, we'll talk about amendment and unity, conflict resolution, to see how we can resolve all these issues together. That's why I propose to the government that at this moment, go now and meet the chiefs. Make an imposition to the chief. Every chief and fund should go back to his community. If he's not going back to the community, then the community tells you who they want to be their fund and give the condition. Like I'm talking my village. No one can go and do something in the village when there is a chief there. Where's the chief in the village? And that chief is not recognizing the people. So what else will happen? The do not remain in towns, doing their thing in towns. And we'll go to the village. And now, if those guys enter the village to do anything, can you go there to fight them? You need to go there with your chief, go behind your chief to fight them. But I'm sure, as I'm certain, if the local administrators, the chiefs, are having a mastery of the people, I will tell you 100%, like the governor said, it will not be possible. Because if we are 100 of us in the village and 90 of us are with the chief, are you sure that if those guys can come and fight us in the village? It will be possible. But if we are in the village and 90 of us are against the chief, and it's only the chief that can stand in front and we follow. So if the chief is not there, we will not do anything. How can we fight?
But the fundamental question remains, will that solve the problem? There's been an Anglophone problem over the decades. An Anglophone problem that has to do with the form of the state, that has to do with the fact that federalism or the federal structure that was put in place in 1961 was abolished, and then progressively what Dr. Simon Munzo calls a diabolical plan was being put in place by the Yaoundé administration to assimilate the Anglophones? Will the fact that people are assembled around their chiefs and stop secession action solve this problem?
Well, after the national dialogue, you and I are aware that there was the House of Chiefs were created, powers were given to House of Chiefs. They have created commissions. They have created sub-commissions. Decentralization has gone a different level to make sure that we manage our activities. The government should go from community to community and get the vox pops of the people. What do you support your leader? What do you want? Then, if possible, make sure that there are new leaders, chiefs in those zones. And now the chiefs will channel their problems to the government, and we know the problems. Allow us to manage activities. There are things we need to do. We need rules. We need everything.
So the dialogue should start from the grassroots, with the people down there.
From the people down there. The chiefs, dialogue should start from the chief and notables, the elites. Now, after the chief, now we have started our chief. The chief will carry our information to the DO and the SDO. And it should flow like that. There should be dialogue at each level to make sure that everybody is willing to. First is the local community, the village. From that village, if that village is not happy, no matter what you do up there, you won't be happy.
Apart from dialogue with the people at the grassroots and so on, what other actions can resolve this issue, can put an end? Because all what we are looking at is an end to the bloodshed, an end to the bloody war. I have
persistently and constantly insisted the government to release those arrested for this offense. Release them, set them free, let them go home.
Detainees of the Anglophone crisis.
Detainees of the Anglophone crisis should be released. Ayoktabe and his co should be released. Released because they have the power. They have the control to an extent. You might think they're in prison, but they're in prison, but they still have the influence. Releasing them, telling them and giving them conditions will be good for the government. Will be good for all of us. So
those conditions?
Boom. The condition is, I am releasing you.
Calls for unconditional release, not conditional release.
Because that is where I tell you that if you say unconditional release, therefore I can release you and you kill me next time. I can release you and take a gun and shoot me. So why would I release you? When I say conditional release, means that there is a condition. I am releasing you because of this, because of this. First, you have to go and tell people to stop fighting. I will be waiting to see you for a talk, because those are the people the government needs to talk to. But first is releasing them condition and giving them condition to tell the people to stop any armed conflict within a period of time. No war. Anybody, because I was telling the government, I've told the government severally, release them, give them a condition. Mr. Yoktabe, I'm sending you out of this jail with your crew. You're going there, and what you want is a state. I may not give you a state. I might give you a power to control part of that state. Means that federation should be given. And secondly, you have a duty to tell your people to stay away from any atrocities. And you'll be held, you will send your guys to hold anybody who does any atrocity. It is you being held responsible. Meaning that Ayoktabe will be given a tax and his team to hold anybody who has done, who can do anything against, within a period of condition. When peace comes down, we can sit on the table and talk. Because today,
with the several factions now existing there in the two regions, can they really do that?
Several factions exist, but we know the leaders. Because I always learn of people saying that this one is a leader, this is a leader, but the truth is that those who are in jail for these actions should be the true leaders. And whatever they will say is what I believe a majority of people out there will listen to. What we need is population. The majority is what we need. Nobody will support, nobody will accept. We have many factions of these fighters in these separate fighters in Europe. We have the various group, SCNC, they are very, very bad. Those that stands for those who are in prison, to an extent, are the correct ones. Nobody will ever talk to any of those other persons. So whatever they will say, if Ayoktabe and his crew they are released from prison, and they say something, I believe that out of 90 people, 100 persons, 7 people will believe what they say. So they have the power. So I beg on the government, release them conditionally, impose the condition to them. And if they refuse that condition, then, because there will not be there's no way the government can release them. No government will want to leave his state to be breakable. Never. Never.
Right. After releasing them?
Conditionally releasing them, they will give them conditions. They will make their speech to those who are still committing atrocities, to lay down their arms. And now, they will take the responsibility to hold them, to attack any of those people still holding arms. Therefore, will be fight between the two persons, the same persons. It will go to work. That will be a way forward. Because I'm sure if Ayoktabe is released and make a statement, everybody will lay down his arms. At that moment, anybody will make any mistake. But besides that, besides releasing them, make sure that the chiefs of that locality, I keep on insisting, are answerable to the population. Because no matter what happened, the group, the grassroots, the chiefs and the local population, they are the ones that have the power. If the chief is not somebody people like, forget whatever Ayoktabe come and make that statement, nobody will hear you. Then the chief, that will be the head. Because Ayoktabe can come up to talk with the chiefs and say, this is what I said, stay off. So they should release them conditionally. I keep on insisting, I beg on the government, release these people conditionally. And lay these conditions like I have said, and I'm sure it will go better.
Do you think Ayoktabe will do that? Will it not be considered as a betrayal by the people with whom he started the fight?
They have already tempted him. They have called him betrayer. But that is him lavishing in jail. He is betrayer, but he's in jail. I'm sure that if truly was a betrayer, was he be in jail? I'm sure he would have taken something or talked to the betrayer and he's out. He should not be betrayer. But it is normal in a situation like this. People should say all sorts of things. But I have said it clear. There will be a dialogue. The national dialogue has gone. But there should be another dialogue.
There should be another dialogue. We're going to take some interviews now, and we talk to some traditional rulers in the southwest region on the issue of chieftaincy conflicts in that part of the country, and we're going to listen to some of them in the interviews of the week. And after that, we are discussing this issue that is threatening social peace and cohesion, the stability of villages in the southwest region of the country.
For now, the village is very calm and things are going well. It's just that we have some worries within the past months, weeks behind, which is a general happening within the region as a whole. But I think that the hierarchy of the administration, the hierarchy of the region is taking control over that. I think that everything is under control as for now. When we talk about chieftaincy conflict, I don't know where there's conflict. There's no conflict about chieftaincy. There is it. There's not. There's none. When you talk about creating of villages, is the right of the administration to create a village. And one village is to be created so places to expand. Than living in bushes, forests, where those are places some of those bad children go and stay. But when the places are open, there's no hiding place for a criminal. But I just think that the problem is just that some people don't respect the law. But if you respect the procedure, if the procedure is being respected, then there's no problem in chieftaincy. The law gives the administration right to create. But except there are some hidden agendas, or maybe they'll say somebody don't respect the text or respect the procedure, then we can talk. But out of that, I don't see that there's a problem of creating chiefdoms in the region. No, the region must expand, it must grow. Peace can equally be restored. It depends on those who are managing it. For instance, we have the administration is there, and we have the regional council, the structure which have been put in place after the national dialogue. But the problem is now, how do they execute it? Because they have given the duty to go closer to the population. But how do they execute it? Because when the right things are being done to the people, I think there will be a bit relief. But except the right things are not being done, that's where the problem lies. So we want the right things to be done by those who hold the responsibility to ensure that peace reigns. They should do the right thing.
I think some of the problems that lead to conflict in the chieftaincy, in the Southwest in general, you have issues like the influence of money. You have in a situation where a chief may die and he has 2 sons, and the younger one is viable more than his elder brother, that everybody knows that he was the one to succeed the throne. When the younger one will use his money and grab the throne, there will be continuous fighting within the family. We have another issue like, according to the chieftaincy law of 1977, chiefs have been selected by kingmakers. And in a situation where you have kingmaker in a particular village that they are in an even number, it will lead to, during the fighting, the kingmaker may decide to separate. If there are 4, like the case of Biswangaba, 2 may go this way on the left and 2 may go on the right. The throne will be hanging from generation to generation. You also have another situation where the issue of, according to the chieftaincy law, we have royal families where that is the only family that the chief is supposed to come out from there. And some other people think that chiefs, there should be an election for a chief to be selected. But chiefs is being put, according to the chieftaincy law, that if in an area where the tradition demands that you have a royal family, according to the chieftaincy law of 1977, I think that should be respected until when there will be another law.
It's like a show of strength now. The military will kill hundreds of maybe generals, as you rightly mentioned. The separatists goes around, take the population and execute. Be it the military killing separatists and displaying their corpses as trophies is unacceptable. The separatist fighters on their own part who target the civilian population and commit extrajudicial killings in revenge of what the military did is unacceptable. If the President of the Republic is not able to handle the crisis anymore, the President of the Republic can resign. Resigning is provided by the Cameroonian Constitution. If the President of the Republic tables a resignation letter, another leadership comes up, I'm very certain that it may have another orientation than the one that is having.
Barrister Roland Ojong Ashu, what is the problem in the Southwest region? Why are there chieftaincy conflicts here and there?
Well, the problem of chieftaincy conflict in Southwest, to an extent, is coming from the administration. Because each village has norms, rules, and regulations. Some also comes to a place they want to impose who should be their leader. Sometimes some come to funds in areas where there are funds, there are royalty, they want to change it. But what I have observed, like exactly in my Mojo, in the Southwest, because in Southwest there are some areas where have royalty, and there are some areas they have never have royalty. But when they
what do you mean by royalty?
Royalty means there are some chiefdoms wherein it is hereditary, father to son, and it has been like that. Like in Boya, the paramount chief of the Bakri, they have royalty. Kumba have royalty. Even Limbe have royalty. These Bakrians have royalty. In most of those zones around. But in areas like in the Umojo, wherein people in that area came from different environment to settle in that place, they have never had royalty, and leadership there have always been based on the popularity of the person. Mean that for you to be a leader, the people must choose you. But some still comes to those don't like it. Where I came from, and impose somebody and say this is the person I want to. Is that example came from where I came from? In 1984, a chief was imposed on Kimbo under the terms royalty because he went and fabricated and said that he's coming from a royal family. whereas no family. Or the other chief of ruling, he went and they signed a arrêté make him a royal chief. In 1985, it was a bloody war. So many people died. And a prime minister decree that was signed suspended the person as a chief. That village lived for 10 good years without no chief. In 1995, a new chief was installed, which was based on the will and aspiration of the majority, Chief Alfred Ayok Ako. Unfortunately, he didn't stay long. He died. And during that time, late Chief Agbotabi, because he's from my village, was there. He died. When he died, that same family that in 1985 was suspended as royal chief went back to the government and they put against somebody there in that same family as royalty in 2010. And from 2010, Cold War started. Normally, there was supposed to be a bigger war, but there was no war this time around because people are matured. They can't even fighting. But in 1985, there was a Cold War. But that same issue, that they still went back since this man came out, died. They went back and they still brought in that person. Although people have chosen their own chief, and the chiefs of the village, the notables, have given power to somebody. The government, the SGO comes and said, no, I didn't come here to tell you who you are telling me as a chief. I came to tell you who your chief is. Imagine the BO coming to an environment and telling the people that I am telling you who your chief is. You don't tell me who your chief is. And they say, we have had our chief, this is our chief. He said, no, this is your chief. Impose the person. They said, no, we don't want the person. On the day of the installation of that person, the HO requested for 35 military with Con B to come and supervise the installation of that chief. And when they came, they ran away and left. So the person now was installed by military in 2010.
It's a traditional ruler installed by military.
That is it. There is a document, the HO requesting for 35 military persons to assist him to install a traditional ruler. Don't pay attention to that fact. And now the person was installed as a chief. Where do you expect that person to rule? I was even supporting that person, but we tried. There's no way.
Where were you supporting?
To an extent, you know, at the moment where you are administrator, when you are supporting a state, you know that when administrator gave an order, it's valid. But later you say, but this order is not a valid order. How can a custodian of a tradition be installed under military conal? Why would the SGO request for military to come and assist him to help the installation of a traditional ruler?
Maybe to maintain order, to ensure that there is no bloodshed.
It's because he knows that the person he is bringing to force the people don't want him. So how does he think he's going to rule those people? That's the question you should ask yourself. How will you rule that person? Have you not created a cold war? Have you not created war in that zone? Indirectly? Why would you not allow the population? Because you as administrator, you must work with the people. So if you have people, if you bring in a leader who is not, people don't support him, how will you work with the people? You put somebody who the person is not willing to move from place to place to go to his own village, and the government did not know. And what you could do is that you have to create a way they should bring a gendarmerie to stand there to be like military to support the person to rule people. And you can see my point. And so, a gendarmerie post was installed in the village, in my compound, in front of my compound, to help. But the person cannot rule because all the 15 quarter heads are not in support of the person. They are in support of the other person who the population have waving power to, who is in Yaoundé. So in that atmosphere, from 2010, do you know that Kembon was the first place where the military were killed? Many people don't know what happened. Why is it Kembon was the first place? It's because prior to 2016, in 6 years, Kembon was leader. There was no leadership in Kembon. There was a chief, but people don't like him. He himself, I'm talking, everyone want to say I'm lying. You should bring facts to prove me contrary. I am saying because as a lawyer, I'm the one job of my society. If I don't say it, who will say it? I have written to Mr. Tangaji, the Minister of the Transition, he sent a document to SU for investigation. I was convoked there. I went there, I gave my statement, I did everything. And I went to Prime Minister, I went to the Secretary of State, Secretary General of the Presidency, to inform them. I'm begging on them that at Botabis, led Professor Botabis, Martina village, which is my village, needs their help because somebody, somewhere, is using Kembong for his own personal aid. And Kembong needs help. That is why the first military that were killed in the Amber crisis came from Kembong. Ayota's mother is from Kembong village. And the next village, Ewele, is his father's village. But his village, Ewele, things are moving well there. But now people take advantage because we are divided in our own village to manipulate. The village Kembong is one of the biggest villages in Emojo subdivision.
So what's the situation now? The traditional ruler was installed and he was there, even though the people didn't like him. And what's the situation today?
He has been there, but do you know that the Development Association is not a support of the chief? Kembong Cultural and Development Association. The president of that Development Association is against, don't like the chief as a chief. Are you getting my point? The president of the Kembong Development Association is against the chief. He has his own chief that he wants. You should understand what it means. Secondly, in Douala here where we are, the Kembong meeting in Douala, where is here in Bonaberi, they built their hall. The chief is not in that meeting, but the chief is in Douala. The chief of the village Kembong, he has a small group that he took and went and formed a small group his own way, which is not legal. The real meeting of the villagers of his village is in Douala. He's not there.
So how is he managing to govern the village?
That is what I'm saying, that they keep on hiding this thing, that they don't want to say it. That, you know, they don't talk chieftaincy in crowd. My brother, for how long will you people keep on suffering? He can't govern. That is why the people who were arrested in Kembong, that they were trying to make school to start, until they were calling them illegal people. They were arrested by those Ambag, I don't know whether it's Ambag guys that they call them. But to an extent, why were they arrested? If they want school to start. But these people were against the chief. But they want school to start in the upper part of Kembong. I get to my point. So the issue happening in that village is that they are settling scores with each other. And we are tired about it. And we're telling the government that the problem is go to the root cause. Get that root cause. Make sure that as far as chieftain is concerned, see into it. That's why I applaud the governor's IIJ when he says you're going to hold the chief responsible. Leave the chief says he knows that he's the chief. It is he to move his people, meet his people, and make peace with people. So that is what is happening in many of the regions in the southwest. And that's where the terrorists have taken advantage. Because the chieftaincy tools in those areas are rather imposed by the local administrators that have been sent there for their own selfish interests. Like example, my village.
But all of that is happening in. They are doing that. They're doing what you're saying in collaboration with the people, with some of the people who are in the communities.
Yes, they are doing that with a handful of persons who are in the community who are able to
doing their job as administrators, supervisors.
No, like
I'm to be supervising.
Like I'm telling you, the SEO of Mafe, if Kembong is one of the biggest villages in the Emojo subdivision. Kembong in CPD have 6 councillors, one of the big villages. It's like 5 villages into one village. It has water, the best water, supply water to all the villages around. Kembong has 2 secondary schools, technical school and high school. Has its electricity supply, all paid bills per day. Has all the primary schools, have a radio house, a television show house. Kembong has everything you can name of. Health center, everything, the biggest markets. But Kembong, because of chieftaincy issue, the unity is no longer there. And what we are begging the administration is that, please, all the other meeting you're talking is cosmetic. Some of those who are in support of the chief, they will also say that you don't have locals to go and talk. I tell them that, as a lawyer, it is my right. Before coming here, I have written documents to all the authorities in concern, and have told me we will see into it. But he's still waiting. I'm still waiting. But that notwithstanding, with what has just happened, where people want to start school to start, and they kidnap them, I ask myself, who are behind this kidnap? Who are behind this shooting? That's why I'm telling the administration that people are using their conflict to settle scores with others, and so it should not be considered terrorists. It should be considered conflict of interest based on chieftaincy, and that is the reason why all this fighting and shooting is going on. especially in Kebo, my village.
So, but the administration is saying that it is playing its role of supervising all what is happening in those areas where there are chieftaincy conflicts, and the problem is rather with the people who do not agree. And there is also an issue of corruption, money exchanging hands and things like that. And
I would not want to go far. I have security reports from the special branch of police informing the governor the situation of Kimbo. First class informations. We have reports saying that this situation was worse. This constitution talk was not done very well. There is a need for re-constitution talk in Kimbo. I have letters documented, reported, and said about it. But we cannot understand why these administrators, they have their own villages and they know their village is working very well. But they come to Kimbo, they come to my own village to disturb my own village. And they want me to blame President Paul Biya. I will not blame President Paul Biya. I will blame them because they should be held responsible for their actions. And that is what we are going to start doing. We're going to hold the administrations who are coming to our area to cause trouble personally responsible. Because they don't want peace in our zone.
You're blaming the administration. But what about the Kembok indigenous who are also involved in all of this power tussle issue and so on? The administration is not bringing people from elsewhere, but people who are...
The question is, in a community like Kembong, where there is no royalty, you brought that issue of royalty in 1985, 84, 85, and you saw a bloody cool war, a bloody war, people died. How comes you can still bring it and tell? Were you not really having attention to destroy a community and bring people down? That was barbaric. It's something that you must speak to the highest tone of your voice, because it is killing the village. And we are calling on the administration. That error must be corrected. The government should look into it and correct that error.
No, elsewhere in the southwest region, there are also issues of illegal villages that are created here and there, and chiefs installed and things like that. What do you know about
that is done for chiefs, persons who want personal interest. Sometimes ago, I saw a communique of some villages that have been chiefs that were dethroned and the villages not considered. You just get up and say, no, I want to create a village of my own. Because came on the way it is my village, it was supposed to have 10 villages. But we want to live as one. But we want that, as we're living as one, let the person that was going to rule us be somebody we have given power to. Even going by vote, like was done in Upper Bayam of Recent, where the DO go in there because they were having conflict. I have the video. The DO said, okay, you want to be chief, you want to be okay. He said, Potterheads, those who want this man to be chief, stand behind him. Those who want, and when he saw two persons stand behind this person, the rest stand behind him. He said, no, it's a fact, this is the chief of your village. You have won. Because the tendency is for the administration to be close to people. Like when the SGO was new SGO was done in Manfi, was sent to Manfi, we had a mind that normally we have to go and welcome our SGO in our village. We need to go there, notables, and invite the SGO in our village behind our chief. But I may want him. I like him as a chief. He's a man to be a chief. He has the quality to be a chief. But the second thing what I wish he was proclaimed a chief is that which people are not interested about. How could you say your father is a royalty? Your father died. Your father was a chief, yes, but you didn't take over your father directly as a chief. Somebody else has ruled you who is not related to you as a chief, and you come back and say you come back your royalty. How? And you create a name on your own kingdom. You tell them that is your kingdom, and that kingdom now becomes your royalty. And now you consider yourself royalty and consider us slaves in our own country, in our own village. You said we are not like you, whereas you don't know where you came from. Whereas you are equal to everybody. And the man sits and says, yes, I have come to tell you who your chief is. I have not come to ask your opinion on who your chief will be. This is your chief. He came and imposed on the people, whereas the people have chosen somebody else. Out of 100%, 95% this person, 5% say this person. You come and say this 5% for this person. You take him. How do you want to rule the people? We have done with him. I have moved to see how I can make peace. When they left the fraction of a meeting in Douala, the real meeting, when he was made chief, they don't respect him. He left and left with some few persons who joined him. But as days go by, even the people who joined him came back to the other big meeting, and he's left alone in his own small meeting. His own is not legal. The other meeting, a chief of the village in a town like this.
How much is this problem a hindrance to social peace and cohesion?
It is a
and
hindrance.
The resolution of the
problem. It's a hindrance because when this strikes, this problem started in 2016, because there was already a Cold War existing, they were now called settling. There were some persons who were arrested and were consumed as separatist fighters, and who went and pointed people as is the other chief, because he's not against him. He just went and said, okay, this one is against my, they are terrorists, arrest them, and they spend life in jail. And now, after a rundown look at the case, they were released and said they are not terrorists. That has already created enmity. So tell me how he himself can better move in that environment. That is enmity continues. Even though at the end of the day they say they can solve it, but it remains within them. Now, in the community where he is the chief, the water and many of the things in the village are not controlled by him. They are controlled by the people who have the majority. Are you getting? And as such, sometimes he is bound to say this person has done this and report the administration. We have Kemon to the administration. The president of the administration is somebody who want to see him, is against him totally. Kembo are home and abroad. So how do you think a chief can rule in that process?
Now the question is where we are now. The question should be how to get out of all of this.
To get out of it.
How to solve this.
I have repeatedly tell the administration, how do we get out of this problem? Go and meet the people for a real consultation talk. Get the mind of the people. And go, if there's contention, go either even by voting, get the voting and get the majority who will accept somebody to be their chief. That's all. That is the solution. Because at the end of the day, it's the success and development of the village that is very important. It's not being somebody being made a chief for his personal interest that is important. What is important is the administration of the village. That is what is important. How the SU and the I even propose to the government, give power to the tribunal association, suspend him in the chief for the meantime. That's my request. Suspend him, not to throw him. Suspend him. Give power to the tribunal association. Try to walk a way out. You can still bring you after.
Why not the traditional council?
That's what I said. The tribunal association and the traditional council, together with the DU and the SU, they should see how they can manage the village for some time. And after that, in the course of you managing the village, you were able to see how you can bring peace the two fractions. And now you can also talk to them and say, but you cannot use force. When we had documents to show that the requested for military to come and assist him to forcefully throw somebody, you cannot take that. For how long will you use military to come and say, put him there as a chief? Because a chief should be the people's choice. It should be something they got. In that day, maybe military don't even come around that place. Because the people, everybody wants you. Why would you need military? Why do you need military to install a chief? It's not necessary. And you install a chief after 2010 there was a strike. No. Why would you be expecting? Because you are forcing him on the people for your interests.
Let's wrap up this edition of The Inside with another human rights issue. And you are directly involved in the fight for the respect of the rights of one of your clients, notably retired Colonel Etonde Ekoto, former government delegate to the Douala City Council, and you are involved in a compensation case at the Supreme Court. What do we know about that as of now?
Well, in 2018, I was called upon to be his personal counsel because of the 7 years, almost 7 to 8 years he spent in New Bell prison. He was a state man. He was President Paul Biya's first person in Douala, and government delegate, as you can tell, you can see. the board chairman, a man that has worked for this country. He saved this state for a long time. I heard his stories when I was still a student, and I was so much moved to work for him. And when I was called to be part of his file to follow up this procedure, which I started in the one in Luxembourg, out of the country, the United Nations and African Human Rights, then later on rights to the states, I was very happy. And we have achieved some success, but we still wait for the results of the commission, because the commission's results are confidential. And I have belief, I have hope that these states, President Paul Biya and his leadership will do something for that man. That man doesn't need any money from the states. What he needs is a recognition from the states. And the file is still at the judicial bench of the Supreme Court, because an appeal was taken in that respect to that case, and we are still following up the case at the Supreme Court. I am the old lawyer in charge of that case, and I have belief. I am not in fight against the government. I have repeatedly said it that as a son of these states, I am for these states. I did not come in to support Etonekoto as a lawyer in that case to fight the government. I came to make the government understand that he deserves compensation. As a statesman who worked for this country, I was privileged to have a brief of nature of that man, because he's a man with a good heart. And the Supreme Court judges who sat and found him not guilty, they were not doing it out of favor. They really knew what they did, because he was illegally detained. And as such, as by virtue of the law, he deserves compensation from the state. So the procedure is ongoing. I have written to the Sawa chiefs sometimes. I wrote to the presidency requesting for audience. And the last time, Professor Charlie wrote a book on behalf of him, and whom I'm working with. Is a professor who wrote his autobiography of Etonekoto, and we are working on it. And I have hopes that the fight is before a judicial bench headed by Justice Funkwe, and the procedures are ongoing. The laws that behind cameras, they do not to be exposed. But I do believe that that man is a man who stood for this country. He stood and defended this country. He worked for this country. But the only thing he will beg from this country is that this country, President Paul Biya, in his sense, as a man of people, should make the Cameroon government understand that Etonekoto, a man of timber of caliber, needs compensation from the state, needs to be recognized by the state for all what he did and all what the state did to him.
What is delaying the compensation?
The procedure is ongoing because it was ruled from the commission department to the judicial bench department. So the procedure is on rule. We're expecting them to reply to us in the months ahead, as they told us. But there is recommendations as to what should be done for the case. So we are expecting it from the state. We still expect that from the state. You know, the government can be slow, but must always do what is necessary. And I believe that the President of the Republic and Secretary General, Secretary General himself, His Excellency Ferdinand Ngongo, whom I wrote to him and explained to him, and some notables and state personnel in this country whom I've written to them about Etonekoto, will see to it that truly he is a man who has worked for this country. The Douala people, they are standing behind it. The Sawa indigents are there with him. And I believe that it will be possible.
Right. Barrister Roland Ojong Ashu, member of the Cameroon Bar Association, human rights activist. Thank you so much for taking part in this edition of The Inside.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. I thank you. I will always be available for any subsequent appearance.
Thanks. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for today. Goodbye.